because I'm a military spouse with a dependent.
Good morning. So today, real quick, I'm going to talk about enlisting into the Air Force as a military spouse with a dependent. If you don't know, Travis, my husband, is in the Air Force, and we have a 3-year-old Calvin. When Travis actually left for Air Force BMT, I had started talking to his recruiter, and I was also going to enlist into the Air Force. And then he had called me and wrote me letters while he was in basic, and it turned out that we just kind of decided through "you'll just come live with me" that we were just going to get married, and we knew that. So instead of me enlisting like I had wanted to, we got married, we moved to our first base together, and now we are at our second base in Japan. I had started talking to the active duty recruiter here who was sort of willing to help me, but knew it was going to be a long process because up until a couple of years ago, it wasn't even allowed for a military spouse with a dependent, meaning a child, to enlist into the Air Force. It wasn't allowed at all. Like, you couldn't, no matter what, wasn't allowed. We don't want you, go somewhere else. And then they had changed it to it's allowed, but you need to do all this other paperwork. So we knew we were going to have a family care plan and fill out some other paperwork saying, yeah, we understand that joint spouse isn't guaranteed, which is ending up at the same base. They're generally pretty good about it as long as you don't have like a specialty job where I would have to go somewhere that Travis's job wasn't needed or vice versa. But joint spouse isn't guaranteed, and we knew that, and we were prepared for that. I had started talking to the active duty recruiter here in December of 2014. We got to Okinawa in October 2014, and I worked with that same recruiter until he left and they brought in a new recruiter. I had ended up working with that same recruiter for almost a year and a half, and then switched over to the next recruiter, and I worked with her for another 5 or 6 months. But everything that the first recruiter and I had talked about was, like, I don't want to say set in stone, but we had went over everything so many times, and then when the new recruiter came in, things just kind of changed. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Okay, so your job choices are kind of slim when you enlist these days. You're probably not going to end up with the job that you want. And I knew that. I was okay with that for the most part. I knew that I would pretty much take anything except maintenance. And right now, what they need is security forces, cops, and maintenance. And I was all for doing security forces. I was like, all right, so I can be a cop. I could do that. And I knew that that was like probably gonna be my job, because having all the special waivers that I had to have for being a military spouse with a dependent, I knew that getting exactly what I wanted wasn't really gonna be an option, or it probably wasn't gonna happen. I wanted something in dental or medical, and though they need those jobs and they're hurting for those jobs right now, those career fields will tell you, anyone in medical or dental will tell you that they need people. They need people more than anyone, but the funding isn't there. The funding is for people that work on the planes. Air Force. The Air Force has to have planes, and they have to have people to work on those planes. I'm not a mechanic, but I would be a cop. They also are hurting for cops because you always, always, always need the cops. I was told that I needed to have like a list of 10 jobs, which is pretty normal. And on that list of 10 jobs, I had to have at least a couple of either maintenance jobs or I had to have security forces on my list. And I was all for having security forces on my list. I was like, this will probably end up being my job, but I'll put the other ones before it anyways. I pretty much had it all figured out with the first recruiter that I was working with, and I had gotten all the way to the point of filling out like my job listing, what I would take and what I wouldn't. I had done the ASVAB, I had gone to MEPS, which being in PACAF overseas, I couldn't actually go all the way to MEPS. I did a form of it here. So I had done the ASVAB, I had gone to MEPS, I had done everything. I filled out every paperwork that I had needed to in a timely manner because I was serious about this and I wanted to do this. I still do, but I've kind of put it on hold for now. I'll explain that in a minute. Once the new recruiter came in, she didn't really know me. She hadn't been working with me for that long, and it was obvious that she wasn't really there for me. She was there because she had to be, and she was there to hit her numbers, which the other recruiter kind of was too, but he knew me a little bit more and knew how serious I was. When I had first gone to him and started working with him, I was above like the weight regulations, and I had to lose weight. I lost over 20 pounds in 2 months because this is what I wanted to do, and I was dedicated to doing it. I had gotten into the weight bracket that I was allowed. I was like 8 or 10 pounds under my weight limit, and I was so proud of myself, and he was so proud of me, and he said that it really showed dedication and showed that that was obviously what I wanted to do, that I was motivated to do whatever it took, and that said a lot about me. And I was so excited because I was like, yes, he's gonna work with me, and this will be awesome. I'll go to basic, and I'll be in the Air Force, and we'll be joint military, and this will just be awesome. We'll be mill-to-mill family. We'll make so much more. We'll have careers that we can have forever. I was just excited. I was so excited. As his time here started wearing down, they brought in his replacement, and from the start, she just didn't seem to care for me much. I don't know what it was, but she just didn't like me. I don't know if it was the way I talked or how he had described me or what the situation was, but she seemed like one of those people that didn't want to have to work with people that needed waivers, and I was one of those people that needed a waiver because I'm a military spouse with a dependent, like I've said.
Because I'm a military spouse with a dependent.
So after he had left and it was just her that I was working with, I got my family care plan approved, so it was time for the job listing. I was ready to start writing down what jobs I wanted and making this real. So she printed out the list of jobs that I qualified for and gave me like 2 or 3 papers of jobs that I qualified for. And then she marked a couple that I would have to have on the list or she wouldn't work with me.
Because I'm a military spouse with a dependent.
I knew security forces was on there, and I was ready to put that at number 10. Actually, I think it was like number 7. It wasn't even my last choice, but it was on there, and that was from the beginning what I was told I needed to do. So I was prepared to do that. I had every other job that I wanted on there and ready to go, and I gave her my job listing, and she's like, nope. She said, this will not work. You need to have at least this, and this on there, or I will not work with you. And I've told you that from the beginning. And I was like, actually, wait a second. You haven't been here from the beginning, and that is not what I've been told this entire time. And now you're trying to make it that I have to take the job that you want me to so you can hit your numbers. And that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for a career. I'm here for the stability and the mindset and to fulfill this yearning that I have to enlist into the Air Force. You will be doing that. It's not about you right now. This is about me and my life and my career. And she just was not hearing any of that.
Because I'm a military spouse with a dependent.
She said that I need to have open mechanical, which if you're familiar with job listings and how getting a career in the Air Force works, there are different categories of jobs that you can get. You can fall into an open career field. Like I would have been okay with like open general, which is where medical is at and dental is at and services is at and finance is at and the stuff that I wanted. The not working with my hands and trying to repair $1 million aircraft because that is not what I'm good at, and that is not what I would want to do. She told me that I had to put open mechanical on my list. That was it. There was no way around it, or she wasn't going to work with me.
Because I'm a military spouse with a dependent.
And I was like, this is not what I've been told this entire time. That is complete BS. Like, where are you getting this from? That doesn't make any sense. And I have thought to message the first recruiter I was working with, but obviously he didn't have any say anymore. I was just kind of at a loss for words because it didn't make any sense to me how for a year and a half it could have been one way, and then as soon as she comes in, like, I needed to do it her way or I needed to leave. And I was like, alright, so that's it. It looks like I'm leaving then. And I told her to shred my paperwork because I was not going to take the job that she wanted me to just so she could hit her numbers and get me out of there. That is not what I was there to do. That I will work with someone at our next base if the opportunity presents itself and go from there. Out of everything else there is that I could possibly do in the Air Force as far as careers go, she told me to do the one thing I wouldn't do, couldn't do, and don't have any interest in doing, and basically told me to do what she said or leave. And I was like, looks like I'm leaving then, because I'm not doing what you tell me to. I don't exactly remember all the paperwork that I needed. I had an entire folder full of stuff that I had to do. To enlist as a military spouse with a dependent, it's basically the same. They just put you in a different category because you need a waiver at that point. So you're filling out all the same paperwork, you're taking all the same tests, you're doing all the same things as anyone else that is enlisting, except for the fact that you need a family care plan that I know for sure. You have to get your husband or wife, you have to get their commander to meet with you and talk to you about joint spouse and how you know it's not guaranteed, and just make sure that you fully understand what you're doing, because as their commander they should know you kind of, and they figure if your commander's meeting with you that they have watched your spouse's career and kind of know that they could handle it. So you need a family care plan, you need to meet with the commander and have him sign off on some paperwork saying that you've met. And I feel like there's one other thing that I'm forgetting about, but it's been a while since I was doing all of this. I started this process like 2 years ago now. Yeah, because I started in December of 2014, so it was over 2 years ago that I had started this entire process, and here I am. But I think too, maybe it's not going to work out even at our next base, because maybe I was meant to do YouTube and to share our lives and our journey and our travels and our family growth and everything else with you guys. So maybe that's why it didn't work out. I don't know. God's like, lady, you need to listen to me. You're not meant to do this right now. This is what I'm telling you to do. And I'm like, oh no, I'm still supposed to enlist into the Air Force. And he's like, Broad, I'm telling you, this is what you're supposed to do. That could be what's happening. I don't know. Maybe I'm twisting that around and it's supposed to be the other way and I'm just not trying hard enough to enlist. I don't know. If you have any questions though, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. That's all I really have for you for right now. I just wanted to do another quick little informational story type situation into one. I didn't really give a whole lot of information. It was more about my story, trying to do it, than giving information, because it was a long time ago. I don't remember all the paperwork I needed. If someone leaves a question down below about exactly what paperwork you needed, I will go and pull that folder out and let you know exactly what I had to do. But if you don't have any questions, then I'm assuming this video is good enough. And I don't think it was, so I know there's gotta be some questions. Please leave me a question down below and let me know if you're trying to do this, or if you want to do this, or if you think that enlisting into the military, any branch really, I feel like they're all fairly similar when it comes to what paperwork you need. I don't know if all branches even accept military spouses with a dependent. You could be the husband of a military wife or the wife of a military husband. It really doesn't matter. I feel like it's all fairly similar. I know at the time that I was doing it, there was 2 husbands that were trying to enlist because their wives were in, but they had at least 1 or 2 kids. And the process was exactly the same for them. They were just right ahead of me. And I don't know if they ever made it. I hope they did, but I have not gotten there yet because the recruiter did not like me. No. It didn't work out for me because I wasn't willing to take absolutely any job. There was literally one category of job that I wasn't willing to take, and that was what I was told I was gonna get. So I hope that for anyone that's watching this, and if you've gone through the same situation or you're going to, I hope it works out better for you. I hope it did work out better for you, and I hope maybe you can leave me some comments down below of maybe how I need to go about it next time. But for now, that is that, and we will see you when we see you. Bye!
Mama said that it was okay. Mama said that it was quite